What is up, YouTube? This is T Quentin1 coming at you with another video, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, the 2024 video game featuring everyone's favorite archaeologist. I bought and played this game back when it launched on PS5 in April, but being the obsessive Indiana Jones fan that I am, I wanted at least two completed playthroughs under my belt before I made a video on it. It's no secret it's not been such a great time to be a fan of Indiana Jones for a while. There hasn't been a good movie since before I was born, and there hasn't been a good original game since before the seventh generation of consoles. Even then, I stand by the notion that we haven't had a truly great original story added to the canon since Last Crusade. Until now. While I was optimistic about the dev team behind the pretty good Wolfenstein reboot delivering a fun game to play, nothing could have prepared me for just how much The Great Circle nails the narrative and presentation of an Indiana Jones story. From the opening moments, I was transported into the shoes of one of my favorite characters, and the atmosphere is, at every turn, perfectly accurate to the world and tone of the films. Also, even though I don't put much stock in canon, I appreciate that this story did fit neatly into the original trilogy. There's nothing here that'll need to be explained in a few years by a novelist who clearly put more thought into the story than the creatives did. Ahem. The writing really is something to praise here. Not only is it a well-paced mystery with loads of big, exciting moments, but it's also funny and often emotionally riveting, and it digs into Indy as a character without making drastic changes to his personality. The new characters are all pretty well done, too. Gina, the love interest, is that right mix of spunky and helpful, in that way all the Uncharted leading ladies are, and she's a good foil. The villain, Voss, is also great, although it does feel like they basically just made two of the central villains of Raiders of the Lost Ark into one character. He's got the talent and bitter resentment toward Indy that Belloc had, and the madness of Toad. But in any case, he's a fun, hammy bad guy, and a good performance from Mario Gavrilis. Another thing that shares with the Wolfenstein series is that there's pretty stellar acting here. Much has been said about how much Troy Baker absolutely nails it, and I don't know if I have much to add to that conversation. He's a celebrated actor by now, and his resume is filled with great, memorable characters. I can't say that Indiana Jones necessarily belongs in the same breath as Joel or Higgs, but I'll give him the highest compliment I can, and that's that I kept forgetting I wasn't listening to Harrison Ford. The late, great Tony Todd is another winner as the mysterious Locust. This character wears a couple different hats in the story, but early on when he and Indy are at odds, I just can't tell you how fucking perfect it is for Candyman to be a big, intimidating character in an Indiana Jones story. It's just awesome. I also want to shout out David Shaughnessy as Marcus Brody. This is a small role, like in the films, but he just channels Denholm Elliott so much. It's really impressive work. There's a very tender moment between Marcus and Indy early in the game that was one of the things that won me over so quickly, because this is a character who got some play in Last Crusade, but wasn't in the other stories much, and it's easy to forget that Marcus is not just Indy's colleague, he's his friend. And while the story, characters, and atmosphere are all bulletproof, this is a game after all, and thankfully, the gameplay delivers on the Great Circle's promise as well. Like Aliens, Indiana Jones has been ripped off so many times by so many video games, it almost seems like why bother making an official one? And while this game does borrow some from Uncharted and Tomb Raider, which only seems fair considering how much they borrowed from the films, nonetheless has a distinct gameplay system all its own, with the kind of Dead Island-esque melee emphasis, although it's executed far better than either of those games. There's also a pretty heavy basis on stealth throughout the campaign, and it's just one more detail that makes it feel more like the movies. While Indy is good in a scrape, he's not Arnold, so the fact that you do have to use your brain to find a way to take out a room full of guards makes for a deeper gameplay experience, and a more rewarding one. Indy's whip is also a central pillar in the Great Circle, and it helps both in combat, where it's immensely satisfying, but also platforming. And guys, the platforming in this game is godlike. Some of the best first-person traversal I've ever experienced. Imagine the silky smooth satisfaction of the Insomniac Spider-Man games and the weight and physics of Uncharted. Hop, skip, jumping your way through an ancient ruin can at times be as satisfying as besting enemies in a brawl, without even getting to how great the puzzle design is. I know the "it makes you feel like" thing has become such a meme, but damn it, when it's done right, that's what a game is supposed to do. So yes, the puzzles in the Great Circle make you feel like Indiana Jones. Sue me. Also, the locales you visit throughout the game have so much depth and detail. The first two places you go in particular, Vatican City and Giza, Egypt, could work as maps for entire video games on their own, and they are so fun to explore. And explore really is the perfect word for it, because even though The Great Circle is a mostly linear story-driven game, there's still plenty of room to wander off the beaten path, including side missions and other assorted extras to discover. And it's a joy to do it. I especially love the whole hiding in plain sight mechanic, where instead of just sneaking around the enemies in these largely fascist-occupied places, you can
take your damn clothes off
and put on a disguise. There were some nail-biting moments in both of my playthroughs where I had to act natural and not draw attention to myself, or like 20 soldiers would totally Drax me. As for what's not great in The Great Circle, there isn't much to say. I suppose I wish we got to spend a little more time in some of these great settings, like Shanghai, for instance. The only real issue I had was that I didn't much care for the upgrade system. You have to not only earn XP, but also find these books scattered around the map. And unless you already know where to look, you won't have much control over what attributes you unlock upgrades for, and that's pretty restrictive. Just have a skill tree, guys. There's nothing wrong with picking what skills you want to invest in order to tailor it to your playstyle. Beyond that, though, The Great Circle is a triumph. A really good AAA story-driven game at a time where we ain't exactly drowning in them, but also a terrific Indiana Jones story in any medium. I'll put it this way. The way I see it, the Indiana Jones saga consists of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, and The Great Circle. And I can't really give much higher praise than that. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. This is T Quentin1 signing out.